What's up guys? So today I'm going to show you how you can use simple spreadsheet tools like Excel or Google Sheets. We're going to use Excel today, but you can do the same thing with Google Sheets or any other similar software. But I'm going to show you how we can create our own database where it's easy to access, easy to input, where you can have a visual representation and you have all of your data of over the years centralized. Of course, it's not easy or it's not feasible to have a notebook for every single athlete, every single client over the years, especially if you work with many clients from different sports, different age groups. It's complicated and it's not feasible to have physical notebooks for every team or for every client, so it's not doable. On the other hand, you have a lot of good athlete management softwares out there, but for what most of us need most of the time, they're an overkill. Most of us won't use most of it, so the midterm in between an expensive and complete athlete management software and having physical notebooks is actually creating your own database in a simple way, which allows you to centralize your data, have visual representation, and track the progress of your athletes over the years and over the months. So the first thing that you want to do when you're going to create a database is to create a table, because in these spreadsheet softwares, when you create tables, they come with filters, and the filters are actually what are going to help you look for whatever you're looking for, whether it's a specific client or a specific test or a specific date range. So this is what you want to do. First thing you want to do is you want to create a table. So what you're going to do is you're going to select a couple of cells here, and then you're going to insert table, right? So this is the first thing, right? Let's put this a little bigger here. There you go. So you're going to create a long format table where you input the name, the date, the test, and the result of the test. And normally I also put a column for observations because, whatever you may want to refer about that test that happened on that specific day. So name first here, name, date, specific test that you want to be tracking, result of that test, and the observations, right? And now the only thing that you have to do is start filling in your table. This is pretty straightforward. Let's say I'm going to put my name in, Andrés Souza. I'm going to put a couple tests here. Let's say we have a simple protocol where we want to test. Let's say we did it. This is, of course, all of this is imaginary results. 1st of January 2025. Our protocol is counter movement jump, 1 RM, 1 RM squat, 1 RM bench press, and let's say 1200 endurance test, 1200 run. Let's call it run, shuttle run. Okay, so you can input here whatever tests you may want to be tracking with your clients or your athletes. You can put the endurance testing, 6RM bench, number of pull-ups, counter movement jump, difference between limbs, whatever you want to be tracking, you can input here. The only thing that you need to take care to pay attention to is make sure that the name is always written in the same way and that the name of the test is also always written in the same way. Otherwise, you're going to be tracking two different things. Because if I write same, if I put the mistake here, then it's going to assume as a different test, right? So it's not going to read that line as the same as this one. And what the filters will actually do is allow me to just track counter movement jumps or just 1 RM squats, or just all of my tests. So let me give you an example here. I'm going to put some other clients here. Let's say my brother, for instance, Bruno Souza. We're going to be tracking the same athletes, the same tests that we can do in the same day. And I don't know, Philippe Mel, whatever. Same day, same testing protocol, right? Oops, sorry. Same testing protocol. So now what we do is we start filling in our data. Let's say 100, let's say 90, let's say, I don't know, 300 seconds. Here's the same thing. 120, I don't know, 96, 330, 223. 70 and 310. Okay, so now let's say that I want to check all of our counter movement jumps, so I want to make a comparison. So I go here and I just select counter movement jump tests, and it shows me all of our counter movement jumps, right? But the thing is, we only have one date, right? If I have more than one date, you can just select the date that you want, and it's going to show you the counter movement jump. So I can go here and just select. There's only one date today, but I can actually select by year, by month, or by specific day of that month, right? So let's just clear this filter. And let's say that I want to do the same thing, but on a different date. Let's 2nd of, I don't know, May 2025, right? Oops, there's another one. Okay, here we go. We put it here. Let's say same testing protocol. And let's say that I have different results, these same results, okay? Basically, don't forget, I can do this for any test that I use, anything that I use to track the progress of my athletes, I can input here. Because now, because I've input more than one day, let's say I'm gonna see all of the counter movement jumps for myself. So I select my name, then there's all of the tests that I've done before, and I just wanna check how was the progress on my counter movement jump. And it's simple, it just shows me all of the counter movement jumps that I did, right? So just with this simple table that I did in 5 minutes, I can already visually check the progress of the results of a specific test of a specific athlete. And I can actually also change the date, because if I want a specific month or a specific period, I can also select for that, right? So this is pretty straightforward. What we want now is to have a visual representation of this, right? And it's also pretty simple. Let's use another sheet here let's clear the filters first. Clear filter and clear filter here. Now what you want to do is you want to have a dynamic table that actually helps you see this in a more visual way. So to have this, what you want to do is you want to create a pivot table. So a pivot table is actually a dynamic table that changes according to the filters that you give it. So let's put pivot table here. I think the name of this table is going to be table 1. Yeah, table 1. So we go here, select insert pivot table. Table, you have to put the same name, table 1, okay, and now we have all of the data that I input there. On the filters, you want the name and you want the test, you want the result here on the values, and you want the date on the rows, right? You can actually just have, you don't need the months or the days, you just need the date. There you go. Sorry. Date here, no days and no months, just a specific date. All right, you can also have the days and the months, but I think it's, for most of what we need, you just need the single date, right? And now what you do is you want to apply a filter here, let's say for me, okay, and a filter for counter movement jump. So you just select the counter movement jump, right? So to transform this into a pivot chart, just select this, select pivot chart, and here it is. As simple as that. So I put my pivot chart here. Let's select a little bit. Let's just put the number in because I like to see the numbers. Let's go to design, add chart element, data labels outside in, so you can see the number there. And what you want to do now, let's make some more space here. What you want to do now is you want to add some slicers for the filters. Right, so it's an easy way to select the whatever variable you choose for filters. And in this case, it's going to be the name and the test. So I'm going to put the slicer for the name, and I'm going to put the slicer. I'm going to put the slicer for the test, right? And it's always going to be, insert slicer for the test. And it's always going to be the same graph. So right now, if I want to check the counter movement jump for my brother, I'm going to select Bruno, and it's going to change here. I only have one selection of him, so that's why one result is showing. Or if I want to change here, or if I want to check for myself the result for my bench press, I change it here and it already changes. So this is all dynamic, right? Only thing you have to do is change the name of your client and change the test that you want to be tracking for that client, and it's going to show the result here in a dynamic way. So actually you just changes the whatever button you want on the slicers, and the table is going to change and the graph is going to change. So it's pretty straightforward, guys. In 10 minutes I gave you a way how to easily input all of your data that you want to be tracking for your clients, have it all centralized, have it easy to access, and above all have a visual representation of this. Of course, you can make it a little bit more pretty than what it is here. This is functional enough for most of our cases. But if you want to have something a little prettier, you can create all of this stuff with functional testing, performance testing, comparing to normative values that you can create. You can have the nice spider graphs here. You can have a photograph for each of the athletes. You can track progressions of each of them. You can have team reports. You can have simple reports. All of this can be done using software like spreadsheets, Google Sheets, or Excel, any spreadsheet software, because taking into account that all of the athlete management softwares, what's behind it is actually the calculations from a spreadsheet. So you can actually do this by yourself. Of course, this would be a little bit more complex to do, but if you start out by doing this stuff, it's going to take you a lot of work out of your hands. You don't need to be looking for all of your notebooks, and you don't need to be paying for an expensive athlete management that you're not gonna use for its full functionalities or for its full features, right? So I hope that this helps you guys out to track the progress of your athletes, and if you have any specific questions or any suggestions, just let me know. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.